Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am Blazing X, and welcome back to the second episode of Cosmic Chatter, where I give my personal thoughts and opinions on certain Cosmichatter topics. The topic that I have chosen for this one is the topic of meta ships. And note, this one's gonna be very interesting. It's gonna be a very interesting one, so stay tuned because you're gonna hear my thoughts and opinions on that whole controversial topic. So, the topic of meta ships. Where do I begin on that? So, recently I actually I went into the main Cosmichatter Discord, which consists of, at this point, I think 7,700 members. And I asked around. I asked about 7 or 8 different people, which isn't a big, that isn't like a big poll. That's a very, very small and valid poll. But it's still, that's an okay amount of people. And I asked them, what was their terminology and definition for metaship? And the problem that I found was that there was no one who had a direct, no one agreed on the same thing. Some people said that it was a ship that was fast. Other people said it was an overpowered ship. Some people said it was a rail fan. Like, just a rail fan. I'm like, I'm sorry. Why wouldn't you just call it a rail fan then? And so I found the term meta very unrefined. In some cases, especially during the live streams, I find it very abused. If you notice sometimes during the live streams with specific players, when certain players feel like that another person is winning all the time and they're never winning, they'll use the term, oh, your ships are meta. Well, I'm sorry, what's your term of meta? I find the term very unrefined and very abusively used and loosely used at the same time. I don't see, and the thing is, it's such a newer term, at least for me, it's a very new term. I started in 2018. I started playing Cosmichatter in 2018. And at that time period, I never heard of such a term. Mind you, I wasn't overly fluent with the Cosmichatter community. I was just kind of a dude roaming the cosmos by myself with a few friends. And so, I never heard that term much until probably about late 2019, where all of a sudden this term started popping up everywhere for me. I'm like, this term's very odd. But what I always notice is that people used it to basically insult people. Insult people's shipbuilding work. And that's not okay. That's not okay. It's one thing to critique someone, right? It's one thing to critique them and say, hey, noticed your ship, maybe you can improve on this in your design. Maybe take this type of aspect and change and update a little bit. That makes sense. You're trying to help. But it's another thing to insult them and use a term that has no real definition yet and screw with people. I'm sorry. And insult people. I'm sorry. That doesn't fly with me. Especially considering it's a term that there's no defined one answer. For me, from what I got from the research I did, I got about, 5 different answers to what meta is. No one direct answer. And so I find that until people get a direct, or if Walt, for example, if Walt were to come out and say, this is what meta means, then now it's a law. Because it's his game, thus his rules, right? And so I think when it comes to meta, people really need, us as a whole, when it comes to the Cosmichatter community, need to change the term because people are using it so oddly, or not even use it at all. Maybe even change the term, maybe take the term and rip it in two. I'm not sure, but all I know is that the term right now is it's used by people who are sore losers in a sense. And for some, it's sore losers. For others, it's an unrefined term that they don't even know what it really means. I mean, bloody heck, when one person says it's a ship that flies really fast, and another saying it's overpowered, and another saying it's just a rail fan, you don't really get a good idea. And I didn't just go ask one person, I asked quite a few people. And this was in the main Cosmichatter Discord, right? And so, until I find a really direct term, and no, this is my opinion, this is my thoughts and opinions, thus, don't, again, I say this every time, don't take this as, oh, Blaze said it, so it has to be. No, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm not a cult leader. I'm just a guy flying through the cosmos. I said that from the beginning. But yeah, that's one of my thoughts on metaships. They're just, or like the concept of even the term. Until Walt basically comes down from his mighty cosmos in the sky and says, yes, this is what meta means, then we can discuss further about it. But other than that, I have nothing really on it, because so many people have so many different terms for it. For me, for a long time, up to about that, when I did my little research, I just thought it was people using the term because they were sore losers in a game. Like, oh, you know, you're winning all the time, you're using metaships, that ain't fair, ha ha ha. I'm like, buddy, I'm pretty sure he built those ships. I don't even know what the heck meta means, but I don't think that's what it is. Like, I'm sorry, no. And so, but that's my thought. That's my thoughts and opinions on meta ships in the term meta as a whole. I don't think there's such thing yet as a meta ship, because again, Cosmoteer is still evolving, but also there's no one defined term. So that's if you do, it's kind of like alchemists back in the day. If they don't have, like, I'm not sure if any of you took any form of history and chemistry, but there was, for many a time, for up to about the 18th or 19th century, many, there were alchemists, and all of them had their different theories of what things were and how the universe worked and how chemistry as a whole worked, and no one had one right clue. So when you have no one right clue, you can't make something law. And that's my overall thought. When you have people, especially with shipbuilding and meta ships, when you have one person, or I shouldn't say one person, when you have multiple people having numerous definitions and no one's agreeing on anything, it's very, you can't say that it's a meta ship, because that one person might think when you're saying, oh, your ship's meta, they might think one thing and you're saying another, and no. The term, I think, needs to be refined. It really needs to be refined, because right now it's loosely used, abused, and very unrefined. Again, unrefined. Just unrefined. Anyways, with all that being said, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like down below and subscribe for similar content. Also, leave a comment down below on what I'm going to edit, play, or review next. And other than that, I will see you all in the next video.